Everyone, welcome to another episode of Darshan Talks. Where this is the recent recap edition, where we talk about something that was in the news, and then Major and I riff off of it. We can talk a little bit about what's going on, what the interesting pieces are. We've got two different pieces that we're really excited about. There's actually there was a slew of other options we could have gone after, but these two really popped out for at least me. Major's just sort of deals with my weird interests. Um, but we were sorry to not have Major in last week. He had a family emergency. Luckily, things have worked out now, so I'm excited that he's back. As you can tell in my monotone voice, that excitement cannot be controlled. Um, and
I'm so
um,
excited.
I'm so excited. We're gonna end up talking a little bit today, I think, about two things. One, hopefully, we'll talk a little bit about FDA and some of the claims that have been thrown around recently in light of COVID. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we might talk about the metaverse. So we'll pick up with the topic I think is interesting, and Major's like meh. So we're gonna start with that, and that is the My Natural Treatment warning letter from the FDA dated February 22nd, 2022. So Major, did you read this thing?
I got unfortunately. Yeah.
Why, unfortunately? Is it difficult to read?
No, it's difficult for me to kind of pay attention to because I'm like, okay, before I read something like this, it's kind of you kind of scan it to make sure so that you understand where the end is and how long it is before you commit to it. And so when I did that, I'm like, oh, essential oils. How
So
much do I really want to commit to this?
I
Darshan, are you
think that
trying to tell me something?
well, I was going to talk to you about the COVID-19 curing effects of essential oils, apparently, but I have one of those fly by night operations that comes sells you essential oils. Then I guess my first question is, do you think these warning letters are effective? I mean, I think it's great that the FDA puts it out and is sort of saying that we're going to make things available, but you're the average consumer. You're probably a little smarter than the average consumer because you deal with this stuff now. You've been dealing with it for the last 5, 6 years. My question for you is, you looked at this and you were intimidated. And you were like, I don't know if I want to spend time reading into this.
No,
So
that's not
how?
what it was.
No, that's not what it was. So talk to me about what it was then.
Just the word salad. It's just
That's what I mean. How transparent
yeah.
are you if you're not making it accessible?
So like if you scroll down to the bottom, look at the footnotes. It's kind of that kind of gives you a basic gist of like what they're talking about. Like pretty much, half of it's like, here's the history, here's how awesome this is, here's why this is bad, and then here's what you're doing, and then blah, blah, blah. So what this is essentially telling, what I'm getting from this is your website is a bad thing. It did a bad thing.
Yes.
Don't do it. That's it.
Right. That's basically what the FDA is saying. But now that you know this exists, are you going to be actively looking at the FDA website going, I care about what's out there and I care about if someone's doing a bad thing? Or are you going, I will never read this again?
No. This is an interesting resource. I mean, it's not something that it's not like this isn't what I would call like back of the shampoo bottle content. This isn't something I would really like. If it's not in front of me, I'm not really gonna read it. If I'm not like sitting somewhere and it's the only thing in my general vicinity that I'm gonna reach out. And it's like you stop somewhere and you're waiting for something. Maybe you're waiting for a flu shot at Walmart, and the only thing around is like Good Housekeeping. Like this is that kind of thing.
But
So
let's say you were at Walmart, you were sitting in front of it. Would you find the closest shampoo bottle or would you read this?
well, I depends on what is this? Like, are we talking shampoo bottle or Good Housekeeping?
No, we're talking about reading this warning letter. Would you go? I guess what I'm really trying to understand is people talk about transparency, and what this is making evident to me is it's not just about transparency; it's about accessibility. And the FDA is doing a better job with transparency, but a terrible job at accessibility.
What do you mean
And
by
should
accessibility? I mean, I can sit here and go to this website and read, and it seems to be pretty well organized to an extent. But this isn't something, you know, what you're asking is, hey, Major, in your downtime, do you like to read spreadsheets? No, I don't.
And that's my point. When I use the word accessible, I'm not using it in terms of can you access the information. I'm using that in terms of do I want to read this information? Does this make my life easier? Because I
Or
Go
when
ahead.
I come home at night and I'm trying to decompress, is this something you know, a task that I see, you know, under that umbrella of No,
Okay,
no.
let's rephrase the question. Should there be a TMZ version of this?
So what you're talking about is, where does this fall in the hierarchy of noise for news?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Um, I what is it like? There's that really like some settlement website, you know, like you could sign up, and if you're you can like peruse that this is kind of something you might find interesting. Like you can like I don't know where it is, you know, maybe if you Google it, but it's one of those like class action lawsuit websites, like where it's like sign up, like here's all the ones that are currently you can sign up for, and you're like, you know what? I think like back in 2003, I chewed that piece of bubble gum. I'm gonna file that one. You know, so that's kind of interesting because it's like applicable to me. How does it affect me when I look
Right.
at this? You know, I don't, you know, Center for Tobacco. Like I'm looking at the issuing office, right? So on my natural treatment, what I went to was in the top. There's a breadcrumb, right? You see where it says warning letters or top left natural
Yeah.
treatment. Click on that.
Hmm.
And what we're going to see is the warning letter section, right? Of all of these kind of. So if you scroll down, one of the first ones, like issuing office in the center column, Center for Tobacco Product. I don't, you know, like that's not really for me. You know, I could probably like, you know, sort and prioritize and but do I really want to do this, or do I want to,
But
you know, get the dishes
to
out
be
of the
clear,
dishwasher?
just to be clear, this one's not Center for Tobacco though. This one was Center for Drug Evaluations.
Okay, so you have a different. You're looking at something different than I am, but what I'm saying is it says Center for Tobacco Products.
Sure. The top four were Center for Tobacco Products,
Right.
100%.
I'm just using it as an example. I'm just saying,
Got it.
hey, it doesn't matter what this is. It doesn't apply to me, so it doesn't affect me right now. It's not something in
Right.
my purview. So, you know, I think this is a great thing. If I'm like, you know what, I'm about maybe this is in the under the umbrella of due diligence. Maybe this is under the umbrella of there's a new product out, and there's this like this collection of like a new kind of Tylenol or
Right.
something.
Right.
Maybe I can go see where these are. Like maybe I can go to this, and anybody who's, you know, related to, I could kind of see if there's any action taken, any warning letters, any red flags, right? Like you're fixing to go to a new restaurant, you want to check the, you know, do they have roaches in the kitchen and slime in the ice machine? Like
Right.
it's your personal due diligence for your family and for yourself. But this isn't something. This isn't what I would say going to the ice rink or, you know, going snowmobiling or skiing. This isn't what I would put in that
Yeah,
list.
it's not high on that list. But now let's say we rephrase this, and this was instead on NBC as Amazon, and I really shouldn't say this because I own a bunch of Amazon stock, but Amazon, how Amazon is selling products that are that are claiming to treat COVID but don't, or
Well, hold on.
selling essential oils. Go ahead.
This was specifically to somebody for my natural treatment in Romania.
Yes, but
Amazon was
CC, look at this. The
right.
CC was regulatory inquiries at Amazon.com, Amazon
Amazon
Associates
Associates program. So you're talking about a third-party seller, and they're just letting
Program.
Amazon know. So if you go to their
Correct.
website, mynaturaltreatment.com,
Hmm.
and by the way, your question earlier was, if you're sitting in Walmart for a flu shot, would you read a shampoo bottle or read this? I would probably do this because I would go down this rabbit hole, and I would say, oh man, and then I would take a screenshot because that one right there, that girl in the center eating that chip or whatever that is a big mouth. Like that's a
I'm more
Photoshop.
thrown off by low libido in men and women home remedies. Like this is problem. I'm surprised that the FDA only went after that one COVID thing. This is just ripe for everything being problematic.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing stock photos everywhere, but that's just my feel. but yeah, like the first hero image, the top 7 foods that kill parasites, like that. That's like a big mouth. Like that is photoshopped. It's just really eye catching is what they're doing, and it's just like oh man, I don't want to die. There you go. See right there, the
I
middle,
do. You're really drawn to that one image. I'm not quite sure why you're that drawn to her.
because that's
She's
where your
pretty.
eyes go when you land on a page.
Okay. I went to the vitamin C, but that's just me. Or I like her
Yeah,
outfit.
and you go diagonal.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's
Interesting.
just generally speaking. I think this is a very much a stock website.
Oh yeah.
Like I can tell you that there's let's see, this is definitely WordPress. Bunch of like
Oh,
it
for
definitely
example,
does
there's a
include.
section called cures. I have to see what they have. This. Oh wow.
We're
So
going down a rabbit hole of something
yeah.
completely beyond what
But what's
we're
interesting
saying
here
is
is our company does not sell any products.
it doesn't. Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to it's like they paid a bunch of copywriters to just create content,
Yeah.
so that when someone checks out their background, they have this this catalog of stuff that's generally eye catching. But in the meantime, so like home remedies. If you go back to the site, there every so often you'll see like the ad for their store. Well, no, it's not even a store. It's just like a collection of categories. But bottom line, it's kind of cheese.
It is. I guess that was my question. Do you think that um, the government does a terrible job addressing what might be relevant to patients, or is this exactly how it should be? Which is information's out there. If you want to read it, go and read it, but it's not supposed to be overwhelming your inbox.
Now, what are they doing here? It's not even a slap on the wrist. It's just like a letter of, hey, we know you exist. That's all
Yeah, basically.
that's all I see from this. I don't see any action coming from this. It just feels like someone's just going through the motions just to, hey.
Interesting. So let me give you some context. What usually happens is you get what's called a 483. That's your number one level, depending on if it's an actual audit. During an audit, they might issue what's called a 483, and you're not required to, but it's highly recommended that you respond to a 483. If it's bad, it takes it to the next level, which is a warning letter. This is a warning letter, which means that it's highly recommended you respond to them saying, we're doing these things to fix the problem you've identified, FDA. So they should hopefully have deleted certain things and added certain things. Obviously, their website makes it seem like they haven't really learned their lesson.
Well,
But
to be fair, we're looking at a small piece of a very large puzzle when it comes to this
correct.
kind of thing. And we're kind of zooming in on a larger timeline. Like this is probably just one of many steps, and even though
Right.
it seems mundane, it's just a check in a box. But the next step, maybe the next step, if you look at that, the closeout letters where they address the corrections people make or companies
Yep.
make, response letters that they get. They're all. This is a catalog of what that stuff is. It's just a resource for you, again, to do your personal due diligence for you and yourself and your family. I think it's great. I think it's a great resource. I think maybe there should be like an index page of like, here are qualified resources, because having some getting your information from Facebook isn't really the thing. Which, by the way, this is an awesome segue, because I don't want to talk about essential oils for 20 minutes. Let's cap it at 18.
Well, not at 18 yet. We're still at about 14. But I'm not even sure we're going to get to the metaverse, which I think is a fascinating conversation. I feel like I want to save that for next week.
Oh
But I want to
man,
talk about, you asked for this to be number one, so I guess we're going to pick on it for a little bit.
we were gonna nail it and just steamroll it and go to the metaverse.
I know I'm excited about the metaverse, but I kind of want to go through this a little bit more. But here's my question:
What do you want to talk about? The kerning, the font choice?
Well,
Like
no,
what?
no, no. I want to talk about what is your
Grammar?
opinion of the FDA looking at natural remedies and treating them differently than drugs, for example, holding them to a different
You mean
standard.
like holding them to a different standard in terms of being less stringent?
Yes.
I think that's important. Well, It depends what kind of claims they're making. I think if they're starting to, if they make healthcare claims, then
Yeah.
they need to look at it from the lens of this is a pharmaceutical, and then nail them.
Do you think most people know that? Do you think most people understand that it's not pharmaceutical? For example, this I'm reading right from here. The best 5 essential oils for COVID-19: thyme, black seed, eucalyptus, rosemary, and peppermint. How to make the natural antiviral for COVID-19. This is just obviously off of this one site, but there are 1,000 more sites with 1,000 more products that
That
make
kind of
similar
sounds
things.
like something where someone just took a bunch of keywords of important healthcare related stuff related around COVID and just slapped it together, and they don't really know. They're not exactly an authority, but because it's a web page online and it's something people can pull up on their phone, sitting at Walmart getting a flu vaccine, flu shot,
Right.
because of how easy this is, you can access this website. And honestly, this website will probably show up in search results before the FDA site shows up. So I don't think that the FDA site is like, this isn't something that shows up in Google search results, right? These letters don't exactly show. I'm sure you could, have a query that really kind of drills down, but ultimately, because of how SEO works, the website itself will show up before any, realistic information around the subject it's trying to spout.
So do you think that as a consumer, patients should be educated on and by healthcare practitioners on the difference between how nutraceuticals are regulated and the standards required for them versus how drugs are regulated and the standards required for them, and why that distinction is important? Or do you see that as caveat emptor, buyer beware, buy what you think is appropriate and figure it out from there?
I want to say that last one was it caveat.
Buyer beware.
Yeah, but the like I think that's important, but I feel like the moment they start making healthcare claims,
Mhm.
that's when you have to hit them. Like, in terms, like, you have to review, like, if they're saying something like, "Hey, this can, like, help your hair grow,"
Yeah,
you know, I would want that to be held under the same scrutiny as Rogaine or some other,
sure.
right? But if they're saying it makes you feel better because it just does, and energy with rocks and crystals,
Yeah.
that, like, some people are into that kind of thing, and honestly, I feel like at a certain point, they're just you're just kind of talking to a wall because, like, really, what do you?
Interesting.
Well, what you're talking about, Darshan, is you're saying, hey, this is important, but it's important to you in your
Because of
bubble
what I
that
do. Right.
you have, in your echo chamber, and
Sure.
but occasionally something will pop up, like maybe potentially this, right? That is, mm, it has a bigger priority and is, has much more weight, like the messaging behind it. It
Yeah.
says a lot for what it actually does, right? That the problem is, at some point, if you keep saying these things of, like, it's essentially like, the sky is falling. Like, it's like, oh geez, there's Darshan again with his weird warning letters.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. So
you
so
know,
you think there's just a lot being made of it, and at
well,
certain
if,
points we
if
just
you're
tend to
telling
pay
me,
attention to
hey,
everything.
did you see the FDA warning letter for I don't know, for Folgers? I'd be like, what?
Right.
you know,
Right.
you
Right.
see FDA warning letter for, like, for, like, I don't know, for shirts?
Sure.
No.
Right. So it's got to meet the Kim Kardashian standard. Is it interesting, and is it going to grab
No.
my attention for a
Interesting. Don't
while?
even worry about interesting. Does it affect you? Does it change your
Ah.
day to day?
But
Like,
how does FDA warning letter for Folgers, for example, change your life?
uh, I'm
You drink
ingesting
Folgers
coffee.
every day?
You don't drink
Okay.
coffee though, so,
I
like,
don't drink coffee, which is why.
like, maybe for you it's like honey or something. Like, I
Got
don't
it.
know, like, dog
But
food.
then
If
if
there's a,
you're
like, I'm gonna be like, what? If there's something saying where it's like the specific dog food that we get,
yeah.
because, our guys, one of them is immunocompromised. Like, we kind of have to really watch out, like, what we feed him. So there's a priority list, and there's not. And
But
this is kind of,
I mean, TMZ made an entire business, a multi-million-dollar business, on taking things that are not priority and not relevant and making them interesting
It's all
and
about the
grabbing your
spin,
attention.
right? It's about how you
Yeah.
look at it. So if you wanted to get this in front of people and you want to get people interested in a warning letter, well, what about this do you want them to get interested about? Do you want to get interested in awareness of like Andrea's natural treatment website of the product they're selling? Do you want them to get interested in the FDA response or this warning letter? What about this is outrageous to you? Right? So you have to take that stance, and then everything you say about it pumps behind that, right? So if you're actually like outraged at Andrea, you're like, you know what? She's just such a horrible person. Like, here's her Amazon stuff. And so there's all of this, like, so then what you're talking about is becoming is trying to like go down a pathway where Darshan's an influencer for
Right.
for COVID and essential oils. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
like do you really want to be tied to that? No.
Right. Right. That's a really interesting perspective. So you're saying that it's only relevant and interesting to those people who care about this. Right now, it's not really that point. We can jump.
If you're a mother on Facebook doing MLM stuff,
Yeah.
selling essential oils, you mean I can say that now? That's something else it cures. I mean, that's its own beast, and that because of the ridiculous stories you hear about that, there are some really sad scenarios that come from this, from MLM, multi-level marketing, these like pyramid schemes, essentially.
Right.
And there are some that sell essential oils, and they will tell you essential oils will cure everything, but they're not regulated by the FDA. That's this whole other rant. And so
no, I'm good with the rant. Keep going.
Okay, so they're not regulated by the FDA, so they can say whatever they want. You want to make a quick buck? Well, here, this this like vial of time will this like eucalyptus oil will grow a finger back. You only have 10. You want 13? Perfect. Here's some peppermint.
Buy now.
Yeah.
So let's see the major pitch on
eucalyptus. No, let's not do that. I'm not going to pitch that because I just see sound clips of this being played for my mom and she believes it or something.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. So what we're saying is that warning letters as a mechanism serve their function. They're supposed to be more about just informing people that it's out there for those people who care about it. So it's almost the equivalent of a press release.
Function, or is it a step? Is the function the letter, or is the function, or is this like because that step was taken, this is the result?
So I see it from my perspective. I see a warning letter as a ending of an initial analysis of what was done. So we looked into this website. Regulatorily speaking, we had these concerns. We've sent you this information saying that we have these concerns. We've now put out on the website saying that from a transparency perspective, we found this, we have these concerns. I was looking at a different perspective of this during this discussion, where I said I want to look at, well, does it have another value, which is informing patients? Isn't that another point of this? And what you pointed out is it doesn't rise to the level of me giving a crap.
What patients would this anyway? So I see what you're saying though. When to you, this is the warning letter itself is the important thing, and this is out there. This is a billboard. But Darshan, have you seen how many billboards they have in terms of warning letters? I'm looking at 3,000
right
from 2,800. Like
right.
I'm not going to read every one of those, and
right.
Especially multi-page. And honestly, if they're all templates, that is what it is. But think of it like a car wash. All right, it's part of a process. So in order to get a car wash, you got to go to the car wash, right?
Right.
That's the process. That's what it is for me. Now, the end result is my car's clean, I hope.
Right.
The end result of this process is the warning letter comes out. Does it really make much of a difference where I go to get my car wash? No. Or who they send the letter to? No. The fact is my car's I can see like a shine.
Wait, I'm really in the analogy. So the car wash is the fact that the warning letter is out, or that the problem's fixed? What are you saying
The
is the
step in the
car wash?
process. The step in the
Okay, got it.
process for me to get the car wash is to go to the car wash. For them to
Okay.
get the warning letter, they just like boop. You know, maybe they tick a box on like on a system somewhere, and the form fills out because they already have all this information. Like this letter itself, if you read 500 letters, you probably read all of them. Like I say, all 2,800 in terms of the form letters. You know, I'm sure there's like little outliers, but ultimately this is nothing special.
Very interesting. I feel like we should now rename the show the Major Rant, which I think would be hilarious. But that
I used
was
to have
actually
a
really
show called Thoughts with Major. That was a whole other beast.
so. I was thinking more like the Peter Griffin. You know what grinds my gears, and
Yeah,
and
that's
that.
that's just a trope. But yeah, sure. You know what grinds my gears about metaverse?
We will discuss that. Those people will come on next week. We will discuss the metaverse.
You were going to
And
discuss the metaverse, like that's like we gotta, I understand. You're like, you know what? Half an hour is the attention span of like a really good time. But here's the thing, Darshan, you don't have an audio show anymore. You need to expand a bit more. And I can tell you that people, if they're interested in the first 10 minutes of this, they're gonna be interested in the last 40. So it's got to be longer. And that's what I mean. Anyway,
well, we will consider that for next time.
Yeah, but we're not gonna. We're gonna be like, you know what? Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna be like, oh man, here's another warning letter for us to talk about, and we're not gonna talk about metaverse.
I'm really upset about this metaverse thing.
Again. This metaverse is what we've been trying to talk about since the first time I've been on the show, and you're not talking. Yes.
No.
We're about the metaverse. You're like, let's talk about the third subject. I'm like, that's not okay.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. We will discuss the metaverse the next time he's on.
Please, someone hold him to it.
I love it. Thanks, everyone. Major, thank you for coming on. This was awesome.
Yeah, take it easy.